Okay, so let's talk about the ruling in the Fani Willis disqualification hearing. Okay, so I wanted to give you guys a clean understanding of what happened in this particular case. So, let's start with how we got here. Attorney Ashley Merchant filed a motion to disqualify District Attorney Fani Willis from the Michael Roman prosecution in the Trump RICO case down in Georgia. Now, the allegations in the document were simple: that Fani Willis, the sitting DA, was having a sexual relationship with Nathan Wade, and that relationship had benefits to Fani Willis. For instance, she was going on these elaborate trips and cruises with Nathan Wade, who was her boyfriend. Now, Trump's team got all of this information from a man named Terrence Bradley. Now, Terrence Bradley, who was Nathan Wade's law partner and attorney in his divorce case, texted Ashley Merchant and told her everything. Told her that Nathan Wade and Fani Willis had a relationship, that they were sleeping together, and that this relationship had been going on since 2018 or 2019. So Fani Willis and Nathan Wade, in response, said that yes, they did have a relationship, and yes, they did go on all these trips, but that Fani Willis paid back Nathan Wade in cash. And they also claimed that the only evidence that they had that Fani Willis actually paid Nathan Wade back for all these elaborate trips was Fani's good word. Now, there were three major discrepancies that the judge had to resolve. One, when the relationship started. See, both Fani Willis and Nathan Wade were saying the relationship started in late 2021, but the defense was saying that the relationship actually started in 2018 or 2019. And the second was whether we can trust the fact that Fani Willis testified that she paid Nathan Wade back about $14,000 in cash. So now, this was a quick summation of what happened. There was a lot more that went on, but I wanted to give you a gist of it before we went into the ruling. So the first thing the judge addressed in the ruling is whether there was an actual conflict of interest. So what does that mean? Well, in this case, that meant, was there enough evidence to prove that Willis was prosecuting Trump and his co-defendants for some financial benefit? Now, in this case, the judge said that the defense did not prove that there was an actual conflict. See, he claims that the trips and the gifts were a problem, but not enough to prove an actual conflict. The judge said he believed Fani Willis's testimony that she paid back Wade in cash or in other related expenses, like, for instance, Wade would pay for a dinner and she would pay for a dinner, even though there were no receipts. Such a reimbursement practice may be unusual, and the lack of any documentary cooperation understandably concerning. Yet, the testimony withstood direct contradiction and was corroborated by other evidence. For example, her payment of airfare for two on the 2022 Miami trip, and was not so incredible as to be inherently unbelievable. So the court essentially found that there was no actual conflict because there wasn't any evidence that Willis was prosecuting Trump and the co-defendants for some financial gain. Next, the court looked at the appearance of impropriety, and the court ruled that yes, there was an appearance of impropriety. So what's an appearance of impropriety? Well, the court says the appearance standard recognizes that even when no actual conflict exists, a perceived conflict in the reasonable eyes of the public threatens confidence in the legal system itself. When this danger goes uncorrected, it undermines the legitimacy and moral force of the already weakest branch of government. And the court made it very clear the appearance of impropriety could lead to disqualification. Now, even though the appearance can lead to disqualification, if it could be remedied in some way, then the court said it had a duty to remedy the appearance of impropriety if possible, rather than go to the extreme measure of disqualifying the district attorney's office. So now, as to the appearance of impropriety, the court said the fact that Nathan Wade was being supervised and paid by Fani Willis, that brought an appearance of impropriety. For instance, the court said the district attorney chose to continue supervising and paying Wade while maintaining such a relationship, essentially a sexual personal relationship. She further allowed the regular and loose exchange of money between them without any exact or verifiable measure of reconciliation. This lack of a confirmed financial split creates the possibility and appearance that the district attorney benefited, albeit non-materially, from a contract whose award lay solely within her purview and policing. Now, as to Nathan Wade's credibility, the court found that he lied in court documents, specifically his interrogatories filed during his divorce proceedings, where he stated that he didn't cheat on his wife during the marriage. This was a lie because at the time he was cheating on his wife with Fani Willis. The court stated that Wade's patently unpersuasive explanation for the inaccurate interrogatories he submitted in his pending divorce indicates a willingness on his part to wrongly conceal his relationship with the district attorney. Then the court turned to whether the relationship started before Wade was hired or after Wade was hired to be special prosecutor. Now, remember, this was a big issue because Wade and Willis said that the relationship started in 2022 after Wade was hired at the district attorney's office. But the defendants claimed that the relationship started back in 2019, essentially 2 years before Wade was hired at the district attorney's office. So now, to prove this, the defendants put on 2 witnesses and cell phone evidence to prove that it was more likely than not that Wade and Willis were lying about when the relationship started. First, the defense brought up Terrence Bradley, who was Wade's former law partner and his former defense attorney. Now, when it comes to Terrence Bradley, he had told Ashley Merchant that the relationship started earlier. He actually showed Ashley Merchant where to find evidence corroborating that the relationship started earlier than 2021. So Terrence Bradley had all this information and was conveying it to Trump's team. But on the stand, Terrence Bradley said that he was actually making it up and speculating and did not know when the relationship actually started. Now, this was obviously contradicted by his own text messages to Ashley Merchant that said the opposite. The court stated that the court finds itself unable to place any stock in the testimony of Terrence Bradley because he was essentially a liar. But Terrence Bradley wasn't the defendant's only witness. You also had Robin Yurdi. Now, she testified that when Fani Willis lived with her back in 2019, that her and Wade were dating at that time. The court said that Robin Yurdi's testimony lacked context and detail, and he dismissed it outright. The judge then addressed the cell phone data of 12,000 calls and text messages before Wade was hired at the DA's office. And the judge addressed the GPS data that showed Wade traveling to Willis's home at 12 a.m. and leaving at 4 a.m. The court stated that, quote, neither side was able to conclusively establish by a preponderance of the evidence when the relationship evolved into a romantic one. Now, for you law nerds out there, a preponderance of the evidence simply means that it's more likely than not. So after seemingly dismissing all of the evidence, the judge then concluded that there was still an appearance of impropriety as long as Wade stayed on the case. So to remedy that, the judge gave the district attorney's office 2 options. 1, the district attorney may step aside along with the whole of her office and refer the prosecution to the prosecuting attorney's counsel for reassignment. Or 2, Wade could withdraw, allowing the district attorney, the defendants, and the public to move forward without his presence. So after this ruling came out, Nathan Wade then resigned as special counsel for the Fulton County District Attorney's Office.
As we have been expecting all afternoon since Judge Scott McAfee issued his ruling regarding District Attorney Fani Willis and her ability to stay on the case prosecuting Donald Trump and his co-defendants for trying to overturn the 2020 election, we've just learned that Nathan Wade, the lead prosecutor in that case, has stepped down after this scathing ruling by Judge McAfee, and we've obtained a copy of the letter that Wade wrote to District Attorney Fani Willis tending his resignation. The very first sentence, quote, "The furtherance of the rule of law and democracy is and has always been the North Star of our combined efforts in this prosecution." Clearly here, Wade taking the step of resigning in part because he had no other choice.
DA Fani Willis then accepted his resignation.
And we also have a response from Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis officially accepting the resignation letter. She says she accepted it immediately. She also wrote some pretty high praise for Nathan Wade in her letter accepting the resignation. She wrote that she will always remember and remind everyone, and I'm quoting here, this is Fani Willis speaking, or rather writing in her letter accepting the resignation. She said, Nathan Wade was brave enough to step forward and take on the investigation and prosecution of the allegations that the defendants in this case engaged in a conspiracy to overturn the 2020 presidential election. So she's accepting the resignation letter. She's also released her response to it, sharing a good deal of praise for the performance, in her view, of her special prosecutor, Nathan Wade.
So now, at the end of the day, what do you think? Do you think the judge got it right? Do you think the judge got it wrong? I'm leaving you with the facts and let you come up with the opinion. Let me know how you feel in the comment section. My name is Nathan Lawyer, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.